Hi there, it's me, Trista, your interim presidente, as well as House Speaker and the Darth leadership that is in Congress and the entire government, and Pima County Sheriff here in Tucson, Arizona. Anyway, let's go. House Resolution number 110, declaring gross dereliction of duty by government attorneys, referring all licensed attorneys serving in federal office for emergency disciplinary proceedings, demanding interim suspension and disbarment where warranted, and reasserting the supremacy of the Constitution. Whereas all licensed attorneys serving in the federal government, whether in the executive, legislative, or judicial branch, have sworn oaths to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and whereas the legal profession is governed by mandatory ethical duties, including candor, loyalty to law over client, and refusal to assist unlawful conduct, and whereas the United States has experienced an insurrection against its constitutional order, the consequences of which were neither speculative nor concealed, and whereas Section 3 of the 14th Amendment imposes an affirmative constitutional bar on insurrectionists holding public office, requiring enforcement, not discretion, by officers of government, and whereas licensed attorneys serving in Congress knowingly certified election results and permitted the exercise of governmental power without addressing or enforcing constitutional disqualification, thereby providing aid and comfort to unconstitutional governance, and whereas licensed attorneys within the executive branch authored, approved, defended, or failed to challenge policies resulting in mass deprivation of rights, including denial of due process, extraordinary rendition, coercive detention, and the deliberate severing of detainees from counsel and family, and whereas licensed attorneys repeatedly misrepresented material facts to Congress and the public, obstructed oversight, and engaged in conduct prejudicial to the administration of justice, and whereas members of the federal judiciary who are licensed attorneys are not exempt from ethical accountability where credible allegations of insurrectionary participation, conflicts of interest, or abandonment of judicial neutrality exist, and whereas gross dereliction of duty by government attorneys constitutes not mere negligence but systemic professional failure undermining democratic governance itself, resolved that the House of Representatives hereby finds that licensed attorneys serving in the federal government have engaged in a pattern of gross dereliction of duty and ethical violations warranting immediate professional accountability, and resolved that the House refers all licensed attorneys currently or formerly serving in federal office during the relevant period to the American Bar Association, all applicable state bar authorities, and judicial conduct bodies for emergency disciplinary proceedings, including but not limited to interim suspension and disbarment where warranted, and resolved that the House formally requests that state bars treat knowing failure to enforce constitutional disqualification, facilitation of insurrectionary governance, and participation in mass deprivation of rights as professional misconduct under the model rules of professional conduct, and resolved that all attorneys found to have enabled unconstitutional conduct shall be removed from federal service, barred from future federal appointment, and referred for additional civil or criminal review as appropriate, and resolved that the House declares that no attorney may claim professional neutrality while facilitating the collapse of constitutional order, and that silence in the face of known constitutional violations constitutes ethical misconduct, and resolved that Congress acknowledges its own failure and issues a formal apology to the American people. Welcome, Mark, for allowing systemic legal corruption to metastasize within the federal government, and resolved that this resolution is introduced pursuant to Rule 9 as a question of the privileges of the House, implicating the integrity, dignity, and constitutional legitimacy of the United States government, and resolved that the Clerk of the House shall transmit this resolution to all relevant disciplinary authorities immediately upon adoption. Welcome, Mark. I'm your interim president and Pima County Sheriff and House Speaker in the Darth leadership in Merca. And I approve this massage. Give them hell and call Congress 202-224-3121. Surround Congress with your favorite noisemakers and give them hell.